Please be seated. Today we hear of this word that we use a lot in worship. In fact, over the last 2 years during this pandemic, we share the peace by sharing these Lutheran gang signs, right? And it's really been something I've struggled with because it is not, this is the 70s, 60s and 70s, peace. And I struggled with that because flippantly, we used to do that as a kid. It would be like, yeah, peace, whatever. When we share the peace, there's something happening there in that moment, I believe, that is far more profound if we stop and think about this moment, especially in the middle of our worship service. It really is it's a gift to us. So we hear about this Jesus telling the disciples that, my peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you, and I don't give like the world gives. So in this moment, Jesus speaks this peace, this shalom, as it is said in Hebrew. He creates it right then and there amongst his disciples. And if there were no other reason to love Jesus, if there were no other reason to want to be near Jesus, if there were no other reason to think Jesus divine, this moment would be enough. Jesus is going away from the disciples. Jesus knows it. The disciples don't. They can't believe what they are hearing, and they are afraid, deeply afraid, more than I am of spiders, which is a lot. And they feel lost, adrift. They don't know what they will do without him. They want to keep him near so they can hear his voice and shake his hand and eat breakfast with him. But soon those opportunities will be lost to them. Jesus has on several occasions been preparing the disciples for his departure. But knowing he will be leaving them soon, on the one hand, and on the other hand, understanding what that meant for them personally are two very different things, just like the many of us who have sat with a loved one dying of cancer, or a loved one who has a form of dementia. You know that they are there now and are leaving you. But while they are there with you now is different than when they are gone. Jesus speaks into their troubled hearts, into your troubled hearts, and says this word, peace. So listen, please, open the ears of your soul and listen to these words. Let all other voices be silenced. Turn from everything that distracts you from the voice of Jesus and listen to one word. Peace. Peace is this thing, this divine thing that we sorely need in our world and is absent for far too many. Listen again. Peace to the troubled places in your heart. Peace to the sadness and the sorrow that you carry. Peace to the anxieties you have about your life and your future. Peace to the guilt and shame or regrets that you might bear. Listen to the voice of the one who has gone all the way down into death and brought back nothing but life and grace and love and joy. Listen, for he tells you that the God of all creation, the one who has formed you, wants this one thing for you now. Peace. You are not condemned. You are not rejected. You are not abandoned. The things you fear can and they may hurt, but they will never snatch you from the love that holds you in eternal hands. Not now, not ever. After this discourse, this conversation with his disciples, Jesus intended for those disciples to feel that peace and His presence always through the Holy Spirit, and in the continued teaching that was to come from that very Spirit, and in the connectedness of our community of believers. It's a continued peace and presence that we can and do carry into the world by bestowing that same sense of shalom with each other. Now, don't think it's just a coincidence that we're talking about this peace on this weekend when there's such violence in the world. It's not an ironic twist. Listen to the words again about the New Jerusalem, how it's described. Through those words in the book of Revelation, we learn, quote, "On either side of the river is the tree of life with its 12 kinds of fruit, producing its fruit each month. And the leaves of the tree are for the healing of the nations." From the nations of antiquity to the nations today, this world needs peace so that it can heal. And once more, God provides. God's promise is not just peace between individuals, not just peace as in lack of war, not just peace because of whatever. It's shalom, wholeness, healing, wellness, beauty, grace, and love between individuals and nations. A peace that surpasses everything we could possibly understand throughout the world. Yes, Jesus goes away, but He comes back to us. His Spirit abides in us, with us, among us, always. Christ is as real as the person sitting next to you, as the ones whom you have arms draped around, as physically present as the bread and the wine in this holy meal, and as warm as the hearts and hands of those soon to greet you with the word your heart craves: peace. So I know we will do this once more in a moment, but would you please stand for a moment? Please stand. And for those of you also at home, please stand. And let's do this in this moment when we are saturated in a word of peace. The peace of the Lord be with you all, and also with you. Let's take a moment and share that peace with one another. Peace to you. Peace.